Coming up on the Middle Class VO podcast.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself when you're doing auditions. Do your homework. Don't worry about the bookings. Don't put so much pressure on yourself.
If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast.
Welcome to the Middle Class VO podcast. We are so excited to have voice acting director extraordinaire, Everett Oliver. Woo!
Do that.
How are you, Everett?
I'm okay. I'm in Oakland right now. Oh, I did it right. See how that works?
That is, yeah. We're looking at your background, but those listening to the podcast don't see your background, but it is fantastic. It looks like you're, what's the background on that? Is that Auckland, New Zealand?
Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay. Well, that is fancy.
Auckland.
Well, maybe,
I'm current, and I match. Obviously, I'm always going somewhere on these talk shows and match. I always match the background on the set.
you're blending in.
Exactly.
And that's the last thing voice actors want to do is blend in, I'm sure, right?
This is true.
Blend in, yeah.
All right, Everett, before we get too deep into this, we got to play a sponsorship. We've actually got a new sponsor there's a new movie coming out. That is one of our sponsors. If you can just bear with us for about 90 seconds here. In a world of clueless voice actors, he must take control.
Make it funny.
Okay.
Because it says you have to be funny.
I'm
now
funny.
you got to make it funny.
Okay.
Ready? Go.
In his booth, he won't back down.
You need to just bring it. Don't think about what you're doing. Bring all the nuances. Come with very high energy.
From small town boy to the heart of the entertainment universe.
McVop Studios brings you
I have so many actors who overthink their audition. It drives me literally insane.
Everett Oliver, voice acting director.
See,
Right.
first of all, it's flat.
Yep.
There's no personality.
Right.
Dave Walsh says Everett is free-spirited, sarcastic, passionate, and real.
Krista Walrock claims Everett is a hot mess.
Cliff Zellman adds manic, unpredictable, but a heart of gold.
AJ McKay says a true friend who's honed in, on point, and sassy.
Then, when you're going to do a second pass, go outside a little bit outside of the box.
Everett Oliver, voice acting director.
Coming soon to a booth near you.
Rated G.
No.
Rated PG. Rated PG-13.
Well,
Rated R.
that should cover it.
I want copies of all of that. That was fantastic. Oh my
How's
God.
that for an intro?
That was hilarious. Hilarious. And you know what? I'm going to be calling each and every one of them. AJ and David. That sassiness. You can see my facial expression now. I got choice words for them. I'm going to be polite.
You know, as I was putting that thing together.
Those are all true critics, yeah.
Yeah, they all said those were all
Really
actual
good.
quotes there, Everett.
He's manic and unpredictable, Mr. Zellman. You'll be getting a phone call very shortly after my audition session today.
Yeah, when I was putting that
I love
together, and
that.
I was like, there's no way he's rated G. There's no way he's rated
Oh.
PG. Got to keep
Oh, they
going.
don't even know. I thought it was great. Oh, wow, Regis and Kathleen, you have done your job. I've been thinking about you all
I
morning.
love our new title.
Yeah, right? Regis and Kathy Lee.
Regis
Everett,
and
let's
Kathy.
get into this a little bit. Everett Oliver is with us on the Middle Class VO podcast. So excited to have you. And Everett is one of the most well-known voice acting directors in the business. And Everett, tell us about your path. How did you become a voice acting director?
Hard work, perseverance. I basically studied, coming from an animation background. And then I think people didn't know what to do with me, working in, certain animation companies, and then they threw me in voiceover casting. And so that kind of fit my personality a little bit, kind of, sort of, if I, when I was working with the actors and giving them looks and, shaping them up, saying, "Get in the booth, get in the booth. We don't have time to be playing and messing around. This is about money and ratings and dollars. Get in the booth, get in the booth. You're gonna get me in trouble." As I was covering for half of them, and being mentoring and working with top casting directors in the industry. And then after all of my shows had ended, I wound up working at a talent agency, my midlife crisis, and didn't know what was happening and thought I had to be 25 years old. And I was like in my mid 40s and going, is this seriously happening? This is something that I thought that was going to happen when I was 25, but it happened when I was in my 40s. And I'm being, the oldest booth director around town and thinking, I remember my first day and I looked at my agent and I said, is this really seriously happening, this fast pace? And I remember them saying, you'll get used to it. I'm like, oh, okay. And they were just coming in and just reading and coming in and reading. And I was just kind of like, okay, sounds great. Get out. Sounds good. Get out. And wind up booking. I actually booked, I guess, my second day there, one of the clients on a UPS commercial. That was just hilarious. I was like, what? And I'm just looking at her. What? Well, she's like, hey, you booked me on this. And then she just walked away and walked out the door. I was like, oh, okay. Congratulations. Great. Thanks. So,
well, you're pretty intense, what I hear.
Yeah, it's the facial expression.
Have you ever caused any tears in the booth or anybody walk out on you?
Tears, yes. I've had tears, yes. Yeah. I'm just, I'm like a white switch, so I turn off and on. I'm, kind of really, like Cliff said, I'm really unpredictable. But I'm really passionate about getting the performance that I need. I put a lot of pressure on myself. But in this game, I'm driven. I'm more or less, you got to be at the top, especially we're in where we are as far as our markets. But I love connecting with actors, and actors know when they work with me. I like to get to the heart and soul. I basically dissect them, just rip them apart and go, that's not you. But I have to do it in Everett's world and Everett's sarcasm because that's the only way I can do it and be my true self in order for me to get to the heart of what the project is or what we're casting for.
That's Scab-worthy.
We're talking with Everett Oliver, voice acting director and coach. And Everett, we're going to, if you don't mind, we would love to have you tell us a story coming up in a little bit about maybe a nightmare session or two that you've had while directing. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I want to go back a little bit, though, to the animation you referenced. Tell us about, your early days when you were working in animation and what you were doing.
We're doing a lot of casting. Back then, there were probably 5 or 6 shows going on at once. So when I was working at Sony. So at Sony, for every movie that came out, we did an animated series. So Godzilla, Men in Black, Jackie Chan, Starship Troopers. I'm looking around my house now because those are all shows that they're currently looking at me like, oh, oh my God. So, and we were just casting. And back then, there were between 26 to 40 episodes. So I literally was in the office, help casting, making phone calls, calling agents, booking the talent, making sure all the scripts were sent to the actor's home. And so it was just a fast pace. We were recording at least, I would say, 2 or 3 shows per week. So I remember one year I didn't even go home for the holidays. It was that much intense.
Where is back home, by the way?
New York. I'm originally from New York City, but I went to college in Atlanta. So if you hear twang, that might kick in. That's why I say yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
That's a dirty South coming out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I've lived in LA for about 26 years, going on 26 years. So I'm well-rounded. Yes, I'm well-rounded as what happens in, the American market. I've also been to Australia, so I'm familiar with the Australian market. I'm also been to the eastern side of Canada, Toronto. So I'm familiarized myself as well there. So I get around.
So Here's a question: with the COVID shutdown and everything, Hollywood's pretty much come to a standstill. Are you finding on-camera actors coming to you looking for direction for voiceover work?
You look at my facial expression. Oh, yes. Yes. Hi.
I'll
How are
bet.
you? Yeah. Hi. How are you? What kind of experience do you have? Oh, I've just been an on-camera actor. Great. This is going to take about an hour and a half to get them into voiceover. Yes. I do a lot of smiling. They can kind of sort of see through. And then I have to go through the necessary steps and training. Please stop posing and screaming because I'm right here. The
Really?
microphone's right here. Yes.
Wow.
Because, hungry. They've always wanted to do this, and this is the perfect opportunity and time for them to do it right now. So, you could tell that they're hungry and desperate. They don't understand the beats. They kind of sort of have the acting down, but it's the rhythm that they don't have. And the energy level just sucks them dry because they're just like, oh my God, we have to maintain this for how long? Like, yeah. So I've had a lot. And like I said, I do a lot of smiling and a lot of drinking of water.
And you primarily direct animation, right?
I do animation and commercial.
Okay.
We have a mutual friend, Everett, Mark Neely, who was an on-camera actor pretty much and has kind of gone into the VO thing, who just got a Huggy Super Bowl commercial. So obviously it works. I mean, they can go from on-camera to VO pretty easily if they figure it out, right?
They do. I mean, it's about really your training. You have to study your craft. And I think that's what happens to a lot of the actors. They don't do the research and they don't do the training. They think they can just jump right in and just do it. And I have huge problems with that. Like I said, you need to go study with this. You need to be deprogrammed. So I send them to specific coaches that handle that deprogramming of them and then have them come back to me, so I can go ahead and get the nuts and bolts and get them to where they somewhat need to be.
Everett, let's talk about one of the services that you offer, and it is Audition Direction. And man, there's been so many times where I'm like, I need another set of ears on this. I really need somebody to say, hey, do this. Oh, that's terrible. Hey, they're not looking for that. Tell us about your experience with voice actors. Are they driving you crazy with the auditions? What's going on in that environment?
I just had one 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
They're in their head. They're worried about what are they going to do later? What are they going to cook? They're worried about their health insurance. They're worried about booking. My process and for them is for me to get to know them and get in their head. So I treat everything like my former booth directing job. I tell them to send me the copy. I ask them to send me their first pass. I set up a Zoom link and then I go and dive right in. Like I said, I'm listening for them. I'm listening for levels. I'm listening for improv. I'm listening for, the energy level. I'm listening for the consistency. There's all sorts of things that I'm listening for when they come to me.
Is that something that you charge your hourly directors, right? When they come to you and say, hey, can we go over this audition?
I wouldn't say it's an hourly rate.
Or is that TMI?
I wouldn't say it's an hourly rate.
Reach out to Everett for more information.
It's not an hourly, but if you want to spend an hour with me, to be honestly,
rumors get started.
Right, exactly. You should be able to do an audition in 30 minutes.
Okay.
From top to bottom, literally. There are clients that I have spent an hour. They're getting to the point where they're starting to get it. So times are starting to become a little shorter. I just had a new client who comes from on camera. We had 2 characters to work on. She was impressed with the 2 characters. It took 2.5 hours. I kid you not.
Wow.
Plus editing, because I could tell that I just told her to just literally just be natural. I'm literally, trying to, besides get the performance out of her, I'm trying to make her comfortable without her slipping out of character. So, and I move fast in a fast way because of the simple fact of the matter is that I don't want them thinking so much. I just want them acting. So I literally say to her, send me everything and I'll edit it for you with a little small fee attached.
Wow. Well, of course, we're all in this business to make money, and time is valuable, and your time is your inventory.
Right.
And so, speaking of that, is that what happens to us voice actors? Do we get in our head too much? Do we get in our own way?
Are you really asking me that serious question? I really can't see my facial expression through this, but I'm sure quite a few people will go, uh-oh, he's giving the really look. Are you really asking me that question? Yes, you guys are really spending some time.
So you mean we're listening to our voice too much? Is that what you're saying? We're listening to our voice. We're going, how do I sound?
The voice, the sound, and the booking. You're worrying about you're putting a lot of pressure on yourselves. I think that what's happening is that you've lost the side of fun. No one is doing this for fun anymore. This is supposed to be a fun business. Everyone is about, yes, we are supposed to be making money. Those of us who are at the level, but you have to get the necessary training. You have to have the necessary equipment. You have to do the necessary social marketing. You have to be able to brand yourselves. And I think they're just missing the side of it. They're just like, oh, my grandma told me I had a great voice. Well, tell your grandmama to call me because I have a few choice words. I have some words to say to Miss Granny, okay?
And turns out Miss Grandma is a better actor than you are.
Yes. Because you're so much thinking. It's like all over. Or my other note that I had is they're trying to impress. Please don't try to impress me. Please. I can see right through you.
Right.
And so it's just, and I have to do little tricks and just do this. Mama said, always smile. Mm-hmm. They'll get it.
You remind me of Medea so much.
Just smile.
And Medea,
Where do
she's
you think
just
Medea
got that.
learned it at, huh? So, Everett, how was the pandemic affected you as far as you've done a lot of seminars in the past, haven't you? And were those in person? Were those virtual?
I pretty much, I was gone. I left LA, I think 2008, 2019, I went on 10 trips. So I was just gone. I enjoy meeting people in person. I think you can get a lot more out of a person if you're in front of them. Mm-hmm. I did do online classes prior to COVID, so this wasn't too much of an issue or problem to jump back in. Now I have gotten an overload of new clients, which is great because I think the things that what makes me unique and different is besides my insane personality, because yes, I'm insane. But I home in on truth. And I'm a person of, I'm going to let you know in a very loving way. Very loving way. I'll be smoking at the time, but like I'm doing now. But I will let you know not to waste your time. It's all about really seriously not, I know that people want to know. And I want to share and say, there's something there. I just have to pull this out of you or send you to somebody who can pull it out of you. Meaning, techniques or performance, and then come back to me. I've had students. So I wind up getting a lot of newbies, and I base them on swimming because I'm insane. So we have the beginners, the advanced beginners, the intermediates, the advanced swimmer. Is from my camp days. And so that's what I put them in. I put them in categories. That's insane, Kevin. I know. It's insane.
No, it's totally fine.
But that's how I do, base them and I put them in and I go, okay, this is what you need. And then I actually share with everybody because that's the type of person I am. I send them to other coaches. and say, listen, this is what specifically you need to go and why.
That's very good advice. We're going to get a nightmare session story from Everett here in just a second, and we're talking about traveling and being on the road. What is the next thing that you are looking forward to do when we're all finally to get together? Is there a particular event that you look forward to every year that you're like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do first, or that's the one I'm looking forward to most?
Well, I will plug this in. I'm looking forward to attending Bev Standing's picnic next year, because that's what comes to mind first. And I'll possibly get to Uncle Roy, so I plug those two in. But I enjoy the conferences. I think you can better connect with people. It gives me a little bit more time for people to tell me their story in 4 minutes. I need to know who you are in 4 minutes, not 5, 6, or 7. And you want to tell me about your beautiful children who you've raised, your beautiful dog and cats, that I'm allergic to your cats, and that you have a house on a hill, that you're telling me about the repairs and all that. And I'm sitting there looking at you going, uh-huh. Why are they telling me this? Yeah.
Let's get
Okay.
back to VO.
New song, new scene. Moving on. So I'm a
You know what
mover.
I miss?
What?
I miss just being there face to face, like we did in that bar at the department store in Beverly Hills,
Wasn't me.
drinking martinis.
Yes, it was.
What?
Yes, you were
I have
there.
proof.
We were all centered around you.
Wasn't me. That was an alter ego. Wasn't me.
That's what I miss. Just the face to face, being able to, no mask, let loose.
I will say that was Mr. Walsh and AJ McKay. I can guarantee that was not me. I was not there. But I've heard that story. Before.
I've got pictures.
Yeah, the pictures are spreading around, Everett.
That was a good time. I want to tell you. That was a good time.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Well, Everett, let's talk about people getting into the business. We have a lot of people that are new to the business or in the middle of their careers that listen to our podcast. What are some just broad stroke pieces of advice that you would give to voice actors either trying to break into commercial work or break into animation work?
A penny for your thoughts.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself when you're doing auditions. Do your homework. Don't worry about the bookings. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't waste your time doing auditions that you can't do. Study with everyone. The biggest thing I hear and I feel is they don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I strip layers. I have to literally break them down and go, that's not you. And they go, how do you know that? I will share this. I have an intuitive sense that I can pick up in probably 30 seconds. Maybe give me no more than 2 minutes to figure out who you are. And once I home on it, I trust my gut and say, tell me about something about you. Or I can pinpoint and say to them, tell me about, I hear Bridget Rio because she's in my head. Because every time I work with Bridget, I see a grandmother. And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, so I have people channel their ancestors or who they are in order to get the performance out.
That's fantastic.
And it's weird because I'm laughing.
So what do you think of Regis and Kathy Lee?
I think you guys are great.
You're so
I
nice.
mean, you award-winning Service Award winners. I've always had that in the back of my head too. Back to back. Kathy Lee and Regis didn't win any Emmys at all. So you guys are above them. Bless Regis hard. And Regis, I think, believe he grew up in the Bronx.
You're so kind.
Regis grew up in the Bronx, so you know.
You are too kind. Everett, tell us, if you would, regale us with a story, a nightmare session story of you either directing or casting where things could not have gone much worse. And please preserve the names of the innocent so we're not throwing them under the bus.
Nightmare Sessions.
See, it's weird because I was working, I was covering for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the session and the celebrity arrived late.
Oh, sure.
And the celebrity stated, "My scripts is not highlighted."
Ooh.
If you could have seen my face.
And you wanted to say, did you highlight them?
And so I come from the world of just look at them. If you could look at my face, that means I would think twice before you go ahead and before I answer that question, before you come at me again. So the celebrity went in, the booth did their thing, and actually they came back and apologized.
Oh.
Really?
So the moral of that story is, A, if you're going to come in late for a session, first thing you do is you would make a phone call to let them know that you're going to be late. And B, I would come prepared. Because obviously this person wasn't prepared. That's one interesting story. The second story I have, I was directing a project. I'll go this way around because this is current.
Okay.
And I would say the advanced beginner actor wanted me to work on this project. And they wanted to be in everything. Meaning they wanted to be the producer. They, wanted to be the director. They wanted to be the editor. And my thing is, just need to be the actor and allow everybody else to do their job.
Mm.
You can't be all these certain hats. I somewhat gave this person a look. Somewhat. But they're younger than I am, so you have to remember, they look up to you. But they're on my list. That's all I can say about that. And you're like, what's the moral of that story?
Does that drive you crazy when...
Go ahead.
When the talent says, "Oh, I didn't like that take," when they self-critique themselves.
Are you? Oh yeah. But see, I am the type of person that humbles them. Okay, yeah, go ahead and do another one. Mm-hmm. And then I go ahead and tell them, "Why don't you play back what you just did?" Then they play it back. They go, "Oh, you were right. That's why you pay me." Okay, moving on. New scene. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're critics about everything. And I just sometimes you just have to just let them go and let them do their thing just for the satisfaction and get it out of their system. And so I go, okay, I do a lot of smiling and grinning, as you can tell. That's why my face hurts.
I think everybody would have a pretty good sense of what it would be like to work with Everett Oliver based on these last 30 minutes or so. Everett, if somebody does want to work with you for auditions or if they want to train with you, how can they get in touch with you?
You can reach me at eo@voiceactingdirector.com. In the subject matter, you can put Regis and Kathy in the subject matter so I know that the Silvers Award winners of Kevin and Bobby, I want it all in the subject line so I at least know where you're coming from.
Oh, that's hilarious. And tell us about
and
your
then he'll
YouTube
never
page.
Open it up.
Yeah. Everett, you better open that up. Tell us about your YouTube page as well and your videos that you're doing on YouTube.
So my New Year's resolution, oh my God, it's insane. I don't know why. So one of my friends says to me, Everett, you need to step it up again. Step it up a little bit. I'm like, step it up what? You need to get a green screen. You need to get lights. You need to get this. I'm like, are we seriously? I seriously have to do this? So it led up to, okay, I'm going to do something new for the new year. I'm going to go ahead and put myself out there and give tips to the actors since we're all in COVID, just to kind of help their career along, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, I can't even tell you. I'm like, I got to do what? Why did I say this? So it's been interesting and challenging for me. I look at all of my social media platforms as TV ratings. I am obsessed. So one of my friends is like, what are you doing? I look through my YouTube. I look through my LinkedIn. And so if you're watching my videos, I look to see how many likes because I'm insane. And in my brain, it's programmed. I think it's TV ratings
Yep.
for back in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, which I'm dating myself. So, as my branding manager tells me, you're doing really extremely well. You need to calm down. I'm like, nope. So, if you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I would like to be at 1,000 before December 31st, that would be very helpful.
I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do
Love
it
it.
today, Everett. And what I've seen on there is great. I love your
I'm
candor.
going to say good luck on that blockbuster, the Everett Oliver movie, okay? I know it's
Oh, my goodness. Well, Everett, everybody go to Everett's YouTube page and make sure you subscribe to that for great tips, and reach out to Everett if you would like some direction on your auditions. I know we all need it now and then, and some of us
Yes.
need it more often than not.
Exactly. And I'm available, just as long as you fill out the information on my website, because you can go to the remote audition section and fill out the time when the audition is due, which is very helpful because that way I can gauge as to my schedule. If you can also put where are you, if you're on the East Coast or on the West Coast, that also helps me gauge as to what time. So that means I'm going to be up all night doing auditions. Since I'm on the Regis and Kathy show.
Right? One of the hardest working guys in show business. Everett Oliver, thank you so much for being on the Middle Class VO podcast. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Everett.
Oh my God, I want to smoke. Oh my God.
The Middle Class VO podcast is a K2 Media Productions production.
All views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests. The McVob jingle was written and produced by Kevin.
Co-produced and performed by Chloe Dolandis.
Additional engineering by Zach Zimmett.
Bobby's hair and makeup by Rebecca Adlita.
Kevin's wardrobe by Slippery Pete's Fashion Emporium.
All previous episodes are available for download on Podbean.
For the Middle Class VO podcast, I'm Tracy Thibodeau.
I'm Lisa Lou Perry.
Thanks for listening.
And don't miss the next episode of
The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.